Well, they're a bit dry, but they don't taste too bad. I've woken up quite reluctant to go swimming, but I haven't been since Sunday and it's now Friday, so I could do with getting another 3.5 miles in today. Reason for it, I suppose, it's raining. The forecast is 20 miles an hour, but I can get shelter because the westerly, so I'll go Cawsand again. And I've had my coffee. So part of what I've done to motivate myself is make my own energy bars. So I reckon they'll have about 16 grams of carbohydrate per one of these little balls. So I've done 4 of them, so I can take those with me. And the other thing I'm going to do is see if I can check out my pace, because it's a bit, when you're not in a pool, it's difficult to check out your pace really. So I've got some ideas of distance and how fast I should be doing certain distances at 40 minutes per mile or 35 or 32. So we'll see how well we go. It's a bit of a kind of motivating challenge for me. That's what I needed today. Okay, so today I'm just going to, I mean, you can see it's lovely and sheltered, even though it's probably quite windy at over at Plymouth Tinside and all that. So it's quite sheltered. Wind's coming from the west, or west-southwest I think it said. So I'm just going to go from these rocks to those rocks over there really, and I know one of those returns is like 0.14 of a mile. So what I really want to be doing is 25 returns for 3.5 mile, but I'm on a bit of a tight time schedule today, so I'll do as many as I can. But I've also got ideas of how long it should take me to do a return based on a 40-minute mile, a 35-minute mile and a 32-minute mile. So I'm just going to be doing that today, see what my overall speed is for the distance, and those individual lengths, trying different things out. So I won't necessarily go into it, but I'll do the timings and maybe think about it a bit later. Okay. That's 10 and a bit minutes for that double return. And that's about another 10.5 minutes for the same. There's the ferry again. Just managed to get across the bow. I'll just do one more pace test, couple of returns, see how long that is. .10:45 that's okay. Right, I've run out of time to do any more today, but I'll go home and have a look at those figures and see how I'm doing. Nice swim though, nice and calm. Back to shore. Right, time for one of those flapjacks. Lovely, calm and sheltered, you see, from the wind in this direction. I have to say, with regards to those flapjacks, I'm going to be using the Cliff Bars or whatever from now on. Turned into a bit of a mess. Tastes nice though. Right, so looking at those figures today, I only managed to do 1.68 miles just because I only had a limited amount of time to swim today. But I did that in 40 minutes 29 seconds, which equates to 2 minutes 31 seconds per 100 metres, and I can sustain that over 4 or 5 miles. I know I've done that last year. You know, I've got down to 32 for a mile, 32 minutes for a mile in the past, but generally speaking, my comfort zone, you know, keeping it going is 40 minutes for a mile. So I'd like to get it to 35 minutes as my kind of threshold. You know, I can keep that going indefinitely, almost 35 instead of 40. So to see if I could push it a bit, I did a couple of short, it's kind of 2 returns of what I was doing today, which is about 451 metres. When I did it early on in the swim, worked out as 36 minutes and 18 seconds for the mile. Over that kind of 451 metres, which is 2 minutes 15 for 100 metres. In the middle of the swim, it equated to 37.5 minutes for a mile, or 2 minutes 20 for 100 metres. And then towards the end of the swim, just before I finished, it equated to 38 minutes and 6 seconds for a mile, or 2 minutes 22 for 100 metres. So it's kind of dropping off. And you can see how your threshold, how your kind of pace drops off over time and settles at your threshold. So at the moment it's kind of 40 minutes, like I say, for a mile. And I'll put a couple of websites or 3 websites in the description below that are kind of interesting. I want to kind of push it, and if you wanted to think about doing that, instead of doing like long swims to work out your threshold, you can do a 400 metres, then a 200 metres, and then there's an equation where you kind of subtract the two, which is 200, obviously, divided by the seconds that it takes you to do a 400 minus the seconds for a 200. It works out, it's in one of the videos anyway, you don't need to remember that. But that'll give you your kind of meters per second threshold pace, a good kind of estimate of what it would be over 2 miles or so. If you swim at the stress level, then that you'll be able to do more over time. So that's the idea, that in training you push it until you get used to doing that higher pace. So I might do a bit of that. But of course you've got to keep up your quality, haven't you? So the idea is that you don't lose quality in your stroke as you're picking up the pace. And there's a good chart from Swim Smooth, which is one of the websites I'll put in the description. And the chart is stroke rate by stroke length. For my kind of quality of stroke, you know, the speeds I'm achieving at the moment, my stroke rate, you know, left arm, right arm, should be between 50 and 62 a minute. You can have these tempo trainers that you put inside your cap that give you a beat, or you can just remember a song. Like for me, it's Lou Reed's Perfect Day. I think that's, I don't know, that's 50 or 62, but anyway, beats per minute, you know, strokes per minute. And as you find that your speed goes up, then you can increase that cadence, that kind of stroke rate. The websites that I kind of learned my swimming from is Effortless Swimming and also Swim Smooth. So I'll put the links to both of them, and particularly the Swim Smooth threshold work, and that kind of chart, the stroke rate by stroke length that you can find yourself in. And I'll also put the Global Triathlon Network, that's it, which also does that kind of critical swim speed, or otherwise called threshold pace work and calculations in there that you might find useful. Okay, keep on swimming.